Diamondbacks lose the finale and the series to the Mets, and we are going to search for where the offense went. Join us right here, right now. Let's go! Well, welcome into Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. This, of course, is the PHNX D-backs podcast brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Make sure you go download the Bet365 app. Use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up. And, of course, choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. And, again, this Diamondbacks team refuses to be ordinary, losing this finale to the New York Mets by a score of 3-2. This one was an unfortunate game. Ryne Nelson once again pitched very well in another outing for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the offense just kind of went missing against Mets pitching, which has been, at least the story in 2 out of the 3 games that they've played here. Of course, welcome in. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. That turncoat Jesse Friedman will be joining us from Chase Field here later. And, of course, the man on the ones and twos is the people's producer himself, a man of truth, justice, and the Arizona way. It's the one and only Damon Farrell. We're going with your full name now. It's Damon Dog, but it's Damon Farrell.
It feels a little formal.
Weird. Yeah. I feel formal. I'm not wearing a hat today. This whole thing is
suit
not great.
May or may not have been brought to the office.
A suit I might have my attentions tonight elsewhere when it comes to, sports. I have to suddenly know football, which that's something that I'm very good at knowing. I won't lie. I'm very good at it. I'm the champion of our PHNX league. I don't know if I've said that on this show before. I know I don't really talk about it a lot. I'm very humble when it comes to being the champion, but I did win our PHNX fantasy football league last year. And the ring ceremony tonight, it's going to be gorgeous. Anyway, we also have our draft, so I hope to see some of you there. Maybe that will make this evening better, because this game certainly doesn't. Of course, it felt like this was a very winnable game for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We spoke yesterday about that feeling that you have, that gut feeling inside that you think that they're going to do it. And today was another one of those days. At least they kept it close enough. This was a tied game. There late in the game, unfortunately, Justin Martinez faltered. He gave up a run that allowed the Mets to go up on top. And, of course, it happens one day after Jesse and I had a fairly significant conversation, and I think Damon too, about Justin Martinez being the closer for this team. Now, of course, he's not perfect, nor is he going to be as the closer, but it just once again shows that as much as we feel like he's lights out, he has his faults as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, he proved, that he's not infallible tonight. But really, to be honest with you, I know this is going to shock a lot of people, Derek, because it's me saying it, but I think you need Geraldo Perdomo to make that play.
You absolutely do. Yeah, no, I'm not blaming J Mart, really. Someone said J Mart fault. No, not J Mart fault.
It's
it's just late there, again, late there in the game. Of course, things didn't go perfect for him. Honestly, the fault falls on the offense, right? The Diamondbacks offense was completely held in check outside of game 2 of this series by the starting pitching in this series. And I mean, they got 3 runs in the first game and 2 runs in the final. So the Diamondbacks offense that has been fairly potent lately didn't do much. They did get some hits in this one. They got some walks, but everything seemed mostly harmless. It didn't feel like they could string much together to score or get themselves very many scoring opportunities in this game. The Diamondbacks were 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position today. So not only they just didn't have those opportunities, right? Of course, Randall Grichuk, he came through for them with 2 outs in the 3rd inning there. Perdomo walked, and of course, every scoring opportunity gets started, I feel like, by Perdomo walking, if I'm not mistaken. But Randall Grichuk brings him home with a 2-run dinger, which was good to see for Grichuk. But The Diamondbacks just made some dumb outs when they were out there. You know what I mean? Like, there was a couple of opportunities, especially in a close game, that I think that I would disagree with Torey Lovullo's managing of this one. I mean, you had Randall Grichuk getting picked off of first in the first inning. You had Jake McCarthy getting picked off in the fourth. And then you had Jock Peterson get caught stealing there in the eighth inning. And especially that last one. I mean, the first two were, I mean, understandable. They were a little egregious, but I mean, understandable. But Jock Peterson getting caught stealing there in the eighth felt like something, especially with the importance of that moment, with how close this game was, something that the Diamondbacks didn't really need to go for. I mean, maybe it was a hit and run situation. Maybe that kind of sign was on. Maybe they just gave Jock the freedom to go when he wants to. But that definitely wasn't the place to do it.
Yeah, I think, this is overall, you're right about the runners in scoring position, right? Like, we're going to look at the series as a whole, but that seems to be the difference there. The opportunities of which the Mets got versus what the Diamondbacks got. And it really wasn't because the Mets were, bringing those guys in at a much higher rate. It's just that they had so many more opportunities. The Diamondbacks offense didn't get enough people on base. And, it just wasn't the best showing, but like we showed in the Rays series, you bounce back in the next series, people will forget about it. Big series against the Dodgers coming up. If you can find a way to get the better end of that series, this series becomes kind of negligible.
Yeah. Well, there's some comments in the chat. Of course, known baseball GM Lease said something that I completely agreed with. She said, "I think Jock lost track of the count and was running thinking it was 3-2." You also have Jay Cuddy there said Torey on the postgame show, I imagine. Said it wasn't a hit and run. So, yeah, it sounds like Jock just kind of had a mental lapse there maybe about what the count was. But still just a big out in a big situation, especially in a close game. And, the pickoffs, like Ina says there, Ina Jackson says the pickoffs killed us. That was the case today. It really felt like the errors on the base path really more than just obviously, taking a runner off when they didn't have very many opportunities today. It felt like they just kind of killed the vibe, like killed any kind of momentum that the Diamondbacks were trying to build. And when you look at those, they were, strategically throughout the game. First inning, an inning when the Diamondbacks usually score some runs. Fourth inning, and then again in the eighth inning. And lately, this team has been very good late in games at coming back. So again, that's the reason why it felt like this one was possibly within reach, despite the fact that the Diamondbacks weren't able to get that done. But of course, today, not a lot of guys that probably deserved it. I probably should give it to Ryne Nelson because he was excellent today. But Randall Grichuk is our king snake for this game. 2 for 3 with that home run, those 2 RBI. And again, I think Grichuk does a great job for this team. I mean, he hasn't really had the power numbers, but I mean, in the limited capacity he's used, which is obviously hard as a baseball player to stay kind of in a, any kind of rhythm. He does a good job when he's called upon.
Yeah, Randall Grichuk continues to, just do his job, really. He's not really doing much more outside of that, but you like what you see from him in the limited playing time that he gets. And you're not wrong about, like, when you're not able to get a consistent at-bats going, that can really, really drop down, like, your consistency at the plate and just it makes it tough to get in a rhythm, like you said.
Right.
But really, what I need to touch on is I feel like every Ryne Nelson start recently, Derek's like, I need him to not be King Snake, and I will choose anybody but Ryne Nelson to be King Snake.
That might be true, and it's not. It's not
kind of egregious at this point.
It actually is. It actually is because Ryne Nelson, despite the mistakes he made, despite those home runs that he gave up, Ryne Nelson was excellent today, and he absolutely gave the Diamondbacks an opportunity to win. He went 6 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, gave up those 2 earned runs, 0 walks, 4K. Piece of Yoshi says, I knew Nelson should have walked Lindor. Feels like that anytime Francisco Lindor is hitting at Chase Field, he should be walked. And of course, it's one of those things where, like, that's what Archie brought up, right? As you mature as a pitcher, there are times where you have certain guys like a Lindor, like an Alonso, where you're not going to let those guys beat you. You would rather walk them and make the next guy beat you rather than give up those opportunities. Ryne Nelson was attacking today, and he did not discriminate who he was attacking against. So maybe that's one thing that he could improve upon. And I mean, can't get much better than a 2 earned run outing, but still, in a close game like this, it ended up being very important. Of course, Nelson has some pretty impressive numbers. A 2.77 ERA over his past 11 games, which is 10 starts, dating back to July 1st. He's averaged over 6 innings per start in that span. Damon brings up the run support, and that's honestly something that the average is better because 2 of the games Ryne Nelson has started and won for this team, the Diamondbacks scored 17 runs in one of them and 12 runs in another, but he still only averages 5.1 runs of support throughout this entire season. Now, early on, that really wasn't, enough for some of his outings, but lately, Ryne Nelson has been great. And if this team can give him 3 runs, give him 4 runs, Ryne Nelson is going to get you the win lately. And I think it's time we talk about it because let's be honest. We had this whole discussion about Ryne Nelson being better than Jordan Montgomery. Who are they going to go with in the rotation? Obviously, with the way he's pitched since July 1st, anybody with a pulse that watches baseball and knows anything was like Ryne Nelson, right? And then you factor in the things that we've discussed, the contract for Jordan Montgomery, everything else going on with this team. And, of course, there was questions. Ryne Nelson might quite possibly be the best pitcher on the Arizona Diamondbacks right now. Now, Zach Gallen just spun a gem the other day, so I'm still putting Gallen up there at 1. But right now, with Merrill Kelly still acclimating back to pitching, from that long delay, that long time off due to that injury, Eduardo Rodriguez, the same thing. And obviously, Brandon Pfaadt has had his struggles, despite the fact he's been very consistent for this team this season, especially with his length. Ryne Nelson has just been incredible. And again, he kind of deserved more run support in this one than he got. And that's kind of the story here. Again, I did blame Justin Martinez there earlier, and it should really be a Perdomo, kind of blaming Perdomo there a bit. And
he had a bad defensive series in particular.
He had a bad defensive series.
Yeah. I mean, like he's oftentimes we talk about him. He's kind of a guy where it's like, you don't really expect him to make those like crazy web gem plays that you see out of like maybe the top defensive shortstops in baseball.
Sure.
But he's usually making all the routine plays. And he, in the first game of the series in particular, he kind of got ate up on a few plays that he should have made. And then tonight in this 9th inning, like, yeah, it's a tough play, but it's a play that you need your shortstop to make in a crucial game with the game on the line. You know what I mean? Like it hit his glove. He kind of misjudged where the ball was going to be on that hop, and if a better shortstop probably makes that play. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm the biggest Perdomo guy ever, but he wasn't good enough in this series, and he had been playing great baseball. So it's tough to see a little bit, and hopefully he picks it up in this next one
for sure. And we also saw Ketel Marte flash the leather at one point in a video we posted on Twitter, and he looks made
me feel giddy inside, Derek.
Yeah, it makes me it brought me a lot of joy in my heart. So I think the thing with Justin Martinez is when you look back upon his past few performances, he's been scored upon in 3 of his past 4 outings and 5 of his past 7. So again, as much as Torey sounds like an absolute maniac saying that he's not ready to anoint Justin Martinez this team's closer, it's a little understandable because he's still not lights out. As much as his stuff seems lights out, as much as he's been lights out at times in relief in the 7th inning and 8th inning, in the 9th inning, there's just still a lot there. And again, it's one of the reasons why I love having Archie around here, because his perspective there about the game being a completely different game in the 9th inning is so true. And it's so, I guess it just describes why the Diamondbacks at times have these struggles when it comes to finding someone that's able to come in and be a lights out closer for this team. And that's just not this year. This is throughout the franchise's history, right? We've held on to the ones that were great with our hearts, very much so. But even those guys weren't like consistently great for, a number of years. It was actually a topic brought up to Torey the other day, just about closers in general. Like if you look around Major League Baseball, there are not those lights out closers that come in and dominate for years. Like there might be a guy that has a great season. Edwin Diaz, who the Diamondbacks faced in this series in 2 instances, is a very, very good closer. But as you saw in game 2, not lights out, not like somebody that like is pretty much unhittable when they come into games. And it feels like baseball does kind of lack those guys now at this point. You got like Josh Hader and a few others, but for the most part, it does feel like that's a harder thing to come to. Lease says it's basically Emmanuel Clase and that's it. And yeah, you're right about that. I know even Hader struggled this year, but
it's kind of I mean, I would liken it to playing cornerback in the NFL. Yeah. That's what it's like to me. Like a lot of times cornerbacks have very small shelf lives where you come in and you're great for 3 years and then you're done. Like it falls off quickly. Yeah. And closers are very similar because the situations you're coming in are like so high leverage situations that I feel like once it really starts to fall down, it really starts to fall down. So you don't see that kind of extended peak out of closers a lot of the time. But you're right, the Diamondbacks have never had that guy. And with Justin Martinez's stuff and his age profile, you hope that he can be that guy.
Yeah.
In the future, you know.
Yeah. Piece of Yoshi, you're not. Are you the grammar police? I mean, it's that's.
No one's ever been more the anything police than Yoshi. Yeah. He is literally the law of this show.
Get him.
It seems.
Ina Jackson says, to be honest, losing this series to the New York Mets, who are fighting for wild card spot, makes this tough one to simply sweep under the rug. You're right. This is one to be angry about. This one is one to, again, kind of analyze this team. Now, the Diamondbacks are still missing a lot of parts. We've talked a lot about the injury updates. You guys know who they're missing. It's still more impressive that they've been able to do what they've been able to do without a Ketel Marte, without a Christian Walker, and without a Gabby Moreno behind the plate. ADC today, of course, you feel like you can just run on him at this point, and I feel like that information is getting out to opposing teams. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's concerning. I mean, like you feel the drop off big time of Gabby defensively not being there. Like these last couple of days in particular. You almost lost yesterday's game because of it, right? Like pretty much solely because of it. He steals second on ADC, Marte does, and then he comes home with that bad tag. Probably neither of those things happen if Gabby's behind the plate. It was honestly a series of defensive mistakes. Yeah. Like you look at the catching situation and you look at the shortstop situation, and that's kind of where you can point to and be like, that's where things really went wrong in the series, despite the poor hitting as well.
Elise in the chat says Shohei going to get to 50 stolen bases this weekend. I'm not allowed to say anything about the Dodgers ever unless it's very negative because it gets perceived that I am somehow a pro Dodgers person.
So I have something to say about the Dodgers. So
Please.
Did you see that 40 on the 40-40 home run, the home run that got Shohei to 40-40? That guy dropped the ball. Did you happen to see that? So there's a grown man, brings a glove to a baseball game, then he proceeds to drop it. Completely inexcusable. If you're a grown man bringing a glove to a baseball game,
you can't drop the ball.
You can't drop it. It's suspect to even be bringing a glove at all because you should be able to just use your bare hands. But the fact that you're bringing a glove and then dropping it, really suspect behavior. That being said, I mean, no one is rooting for Ohtani to get 50-50 more than that guy, right? Because then the 40-40 ball becomes, who gives a shit about the 40-40 ball? Like the second that becomes, there's a 50-50 ball, that guy's going to be fist pumping. Yeah. Like the Dodgers just won the championship, basically. Yeah. I mean, that was just where my mind went to. Like no one's rooting. He cares more than Ohtani does.
I brought my glove to the home run derby, which I felt like was acceptable, right? There were more.
I think that's the one place.
There were more gloves there than you see at a regular baseball game.
I think that's the one place where it's okay.
I'm just going to be honest. I felt silly.
Yeah.
And then I upgraded to a giant glove.
It is a little silly. The giant glove is like, it's egregious. So that kind of like, you're playing into it a little bit.
It felt a little bit better. Yeah. It felt like at least if I'm going to, if I'm going to be silly, I'm going to be really silly with it. But of course, this one does suck, and you're right. This is a tough one. The Diamondbacks can't really afford to lose games over this stretch. They have a tough 4-game series here coming up against the Dodgers. I'm sure they're going to make my prediction look very stupid by the end of it, but still, the Diamondbacks need to focus on the wild card. They need to focus on the playoffs, and they need to try to get every win over this stretch. They have some very good teams left to play, including the Astros that can't seem to lose, and they're just going to be in the ALCS. They've already reserved their reservation for that. You at least have one series against the Rockies, but you play the Giants after that, after the Dodgers, and the Giants are still going to play you tough. There's a lot of series ahead, even against teams that are out of the playoff race that are going to look to kind of spoil things for you late in the season. So the Diamondbacks need to kind of stay on pace. I mean, the Mets, this does suck, but the Mets have been playing good baseball, let's be honest. And the Mets have a lot of motivation there to beat the Diamondbacks in order to try to keep their playoff hopes alive right now. So that's where we're at. Ina says, okay, let's now cheer up. Padres lost 1-4. Way to bookend it, Ina. I appreciate that. That's a good point. So it could be worse. And of course, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I'm sure the Diamondbacks were not expecting to get to a point where they could just kind of coast throughout the rest of the season. And again, as fans, we should just be happy that they were able to stack as many wins throughout this period of time without, their star players as they can. And just look forward very much to getting those guys back, hopefully by the series there, like I said, with the Giants. So we'll see. But of course, we thank all of you for being here in the PHNX Sports channel, even you, Thunderbolt, who wasn't here for the win, but of course is here for the loss. We love you all. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our wonderful shows go live. And of course, hit that like button. Drop that like. Means the world to us, at least to me. Maybe not to anybody else, but it means a lot to me. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there on your favorite audio podcasting app. And please leave us a review. Those 5-star reviews definitely help us out. And of course, we love that feedback. Of course, before we get to the count and talk about this series numbers, which don't look great, well, the bullpen really looks great. We're going to talk about Bet365. Of course, Bet365 is the place to go bet on live sports. It's the place to go bet on all sports. Bet365 just makes watching sports more fun. They offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. And of course, they have 90 million users worldwide, and that's for a great reason. They offer some great offers. Right now, I think they just bumped their bet and get offer up. Was that right, Damon? They bumped it up to, is it $200 now?
They did bump it up. Isn't that, I mean, that's just insane.
Just more money.
The good people at Bet365.
Well, you know what it is, right? Those other gambling sites, right? Like we've seen it. They changed their offers and they kind of like reduced it down. Bet365 is like, no. Football season's here. Basketball season's here. We're giving you more money as a new customer. And right now you can sign up, use our code of PHNX365, deposit $10 and choose between two offers. Again, a bet and get offer where you place a bet of $5 or more and get $200 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to $1,000 bet. And of course, if your qualifying bet loses, you'll receive a matched refund in bonus bets. There is the Bet365 baseball early payout offer. And of course, you are a winner when your team goes up by 5 runs with an instant payout. Parlay and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners as well. So download the Bet365 app, use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, tonight is the night. I guess there's a draft going on over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, but more importantly, it's the night that I finally get crowned champion of our fantasy football league. Look, I'm humble about it. I know I don't talk about it ever on this show. I think maybe, never mind. I was going to say, I think maybe I talked about it earlier, but no, I never
might be
talked
the most
about it.
humble about it.
I'm so humble about it. It's wild, right? Like Damon's like, I don't know why you wouldn't brag about it more. And I'm like, come on. What am I trying to do? It's probably
Derek's best quality is his humility.
I mean, second only to my fashion sense, right? But of course, you can take all of this in, including this outfit that I won't be wearing because I have a whole other championship outfit that I'll be wearing tonight for the draft, where I will be. It'll be my ring ceremony. That's what I want you guys there for.
Wait, did you win
the fantasy football league last year? I did. You didn't hear about it?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Because I'm so humble about it. I never talk about the fact that I won our fantasy football league on this show. But of course, we are having our draft and my ring ceremony at the best place we could have it. That's at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and no one does it better than Gila River. Of course, they offer an authentic and immersive experience. You can join us tonight. I think we had tickets, but weren't they free? I think you just had to just RSVP, but that still doesn't mean like we're going to kick you out. It's a big facility. They have over 800 slot machines, or as Lindsay said on yesterday's show, 4,000 slot machines, which that's not true. But they do have 15 blackjack tables, live game tables, and so much more, including Arizona's largest casino sportsbook. So head over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos and let them show you what Next Level is all about. Head over there tonight and join us for our event. Of course, we will be there all year long with events for the Cardinals and the Suns, watch parties, and more. So stay tuned for info on that. And of course, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. All right. Well, of course, let's take a look at the count for this series presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. Diamondbacks get outscored by the New York Mets 16-13, out hit by the Mets 29-23. This is a damning stat for the offense in the series, even considering the Diamondbacks scored 8 runs in Game 2. The Diamondbacks were only 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. 3 for 12. That's kind of wild over a 3-game stretch, right? So they did not give themselves very many opportunities to score in this one, and obviously the results reflect that.
Yeah, from this offense as well, like that's just not enough opportunities. I mean, I mentioned it earlier and I alluded to it, like 241 to 250. Obviously, the averages there are pretty similar.
Yeah.
The difference being the Mets got more than twice as many people on base in those scoring positions. Like the Diamondbacks, that's just not good enough. Has to be better on that end.
I agree.
You can't be. I think I like to see that we're hitting a lot of home runs recently. Like that's a nice development. The team's really been hitting it out of the park, which is in the playoffs. Like a lot of times it comes down to, can you be the team that pushes those home runs across the board? But in regular season baseball, we need more runners in those scoring positions, and being so home run or bust is just not ideal.
All right. Well, starting pitching ERA for the Mets, 4.42 to the starting pitching ERA for the Diamondbacks, 7.16. The real thing there is that the Diamondbacks bullpen there, 0.84 for their relief ERA to the 4.69 for the Mets. And of course, that 0.84 ERA, very impressive. I mean, I know it's kind of skewed there a little bit based on the fact that somehow Jordan Montgomery was not charged with a single run when he came out, but those were all charged to Brandon Pfaadt. Of course, though, this bullpen continues to be very good. As you see there across the series, they were not the problem for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. It definitely, I mean, I know they gave up that run late. I would almost say that the defense was a bigger problem in this series, than the bullpen.
Yeah, the
bullpen was great.
I mean, the defense and just the offense, just getting players in those scoring positions, I think is what it comes down to. Like if you're better defensively, you can kind of get away with how bad the offense was at times in this series.
Yeah.
But the problem is they were shaky on the defensive end, and that's still like the combination of the both is just a losing formula.
All right. Well, of course, we are joined by the man formerly known as my vice mayor, currently known as an independent of some kind. It is the one and only Thunderstick, Jesse Friedman. Jesse, this game kind of stunk. I felt like Ryne Nelson deserved better, as he always does, but Diamondbacks weren't able to do much against this Mets team.
They weren't, no. And this really continues a recent trend for the Diamondbacks where they've struggled to hit left-handed pitching. You think about earlier in the series against Sean Manaea. You think about Jeffrey Springs, what he was able to do against them in the Rays series. Obviously, it's not a huge sample of lefties recently, but the Diamondbacks entered today, Derek, with a 594 team OPS against lefties going back to August 12th. And just a couple of days before that, of course, is when Ketel Marte got hurt. And Ketel Marte has been one of the best hitters in all of baseball against lefties over the past few years. So, the offense has found ways to stay afloat against righties. We saw that yesterday. They were able to have some success against Luis Severino. Obviously came back toward the end and scored 8 runs. But these games against lefties, it's starting to become a little bit of a trend when you're missing 3 of your key offensive players and all 3 of them bat right-handed. And, Gabriel Moreno and Ketel Marte in particular have had a ton of success against lefties in their careers. It's really tough to overcome, and it feels like we're really starting to see the effects of that.
Maze Devil in the chat says Mets fans have quickly risen up my least favorite fan bases. Well, strap in, because there are going to be 40,000 plus at the Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks at Chase Field, and they're going to remind you very quickly of which one we hate the most, because there's going to be a lot of Dodgers fans out there. It kind of makes me sick. But I will say, Jesse, that of course Ryne Nelson, the guy continues to shove. He continues to be incredible for this team. Even on a day where he made a few mistakes, those mistakes are still limited, not compounded. Got himself some double plays. We were kind of, ragging on the defense, but Ryne Nelson doesn't get a lot of double plays, but he got some very timely ones today. And it felt like, again, he just goes out there and gives this team a chance to win every 5 days.
He really does. I mean, and really even more than that, I would say. I mean, Ryne Nelson has a 2.77 ERA over the past 2 months at this point. Like, that's pretty good. That'll play for sure. He's been this team's best starting pitcher over the last couple months. And even though this game ended in a loss, it really wasn't Ryne Nelson's fault, I wouldn't say. I mean,
Correct.
Yes, he did give up the 2 home runs. He did give up 2 runs in his outing, but 6 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs. That's a pretty darn good start. And it's really just more of the same for Ryne Nelson and what he's been giving the Diamondbacks here lately. So yeah, I think the story tonight for the D-backs is the offense. It's, only managing 2 runs against Peterson, obviously, who again is a left-handed pitcher, allowing him to pitch as deep into the game as he did. And then I know you guys have touched on this already. There's some sloppy play for the D-backs in this one. Geraldo Perdomo, I think maybe could have made that play on Jose Iglesias' single that wound up giving the Mets the lead and proved to be the difference in this game. We'll get to Perdomo's comments on that here a little bit later in the show. But then, of course, it's the base running stuff, right? With 2 pickoffs and a caught stealing, just some things we're not used to seeing for this Diamondbacks team.
I guess there was some chatter again because of the comment about Mets fans. And I want to reiterate, yes, Yoshi is also our favorite Mets fan. He's also our favorite grammar police officer as well. So we appreciate him being here and keeping us honest on how to, pronounce players' names. And this is coming from a guy that's been Derek Montilla for most of his life. So, I mean, you would think I would, it broke me after a while. I was like, if nobody's going to care about my name, why should I care about anyone else?
I'm Damien. Everywhere I go.
I'm somehow Jared when I say my first name. I'm Derek, and they're like, Jared? I'm like, no, Derek. But it happens enough that I just know when I say my name, it sounds like I say Jared, which is one of my friends, and I hate him very much. So it's like the worst person that I could be confused with saying my name was.
A lot of people hear David sometimes when I'm on the phone too, and that's tough to deal with.
Yeah,
Jesse's so easy.
Jesse's easy. It's a metaphor for Jesse in general.
Probably spell it wrong though.
That's what I was going to say. People have no idea how to spell my name. I get Gessy a lot, which still puzzles me. Jessie is probably the more common mistake. That one I understand a little bit more because that's like actually a spelling of like an actual name. I feel bad for you guys. That must be tough.
More importantly, how many people tormented you with singing Jesse's Girl to you throughout your lifetime? I feel like that's a sentence worse than a lot of these things potentially.
Yeah, far too many. That's all I will say.
It's gross.
You should change it to a G, Jesse.
That'll confuse people even more. Well, of course, when we come back from our commercial break here, we're going to get more from Jesse here and more from the clubhouse at Chase Field. But of course, first, we need to talk about our friends at Shady Rays. Man, I've talked about their lost and broken replacement plan, but lately it's become the topic of conversation because some people don't actually believe it's as easy as it is. And let me tell you, it absolutely is as easy as it is. You just contact them about your order. You let them know that you left your sunglasses somewhere. I don't know where. And again, they will not blame you at all. They will not judge you at all. They'll just send you out another pair of sunglasses. They have hundreds of styles to choose from Of course, crystal clear optics. They make some amazing polarized sunglasses. And of course, if you live here in Arizona, you need a solid pair of sunglasses. Don't let the whole I will lose them, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on them thing keep you back from getting yourself a quality pair of sunglasses. Not only do they not cost very much, but even if you do lose them, they will send you out a new pair. They also will send you, they'll let you exchange your Shady Rays or get your money back if you don't absolutely love them. If you order online and you receive them and you find out that they just don't fit your face the right way. So make sure to shop with Shady Rays. They have your back long after you purchase with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Derek, did you see what happened with our Shady Rays order that we made?
Oh, I did see that. What happened with our Shady
So
Rays order.
it was lost, stolen, something like that.
Something happened. An entire office. The good folks at Shady Rays all asked us to pick out some styles that we would like. They sent us all a pair of sunglasses, and somehow that order disappeared.
And you know what they said? Hey guys, take advantage of our lost and broken replacement policy that is better than all of eyewear.
We're just going to send you out an entire other box filled with sunglasses.
That's literally how it works.
It's crazy. They are great people. And of course, like I said, they have your back long after you purchase. So make sure to check out Shady Rays. Also, talking about having your back, Desert Financial Credit Union always has your back, and they have for years and years. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. And of course, they have financial experts that are committed to your financial goals and dreams and helping you achieve those. Of course, sometimes when you go to a bank, you never know really if you're just getting sold on things that the bank wants you to get, credit cards, other products. I know we all kind of have had those moments where you go in to get personal loan or a car loan, and then the next thing you know, they're trying to get you to get a credit card or something. Desert Financial will just help you with what you're looking to achieve. And of course, they have all sorts of options, including checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. So no matter what you're looking for, if you want to have all of your finances under one roof, they have you covered there as well. So join a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing success with its members. Right now, you can open a free checking account online and get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Do I even need to check in? Is there any? It's still that time of the year. We have to put up with this.
We do have our regularly scheduled political advertisement we have to play.
Let's do the thing. These are getting weird.
When you elect a mayor, you need somebody trustworthy, somebody that reflects the values that you want to see in your community. But Espo, all he ever does is blame others.
I offered to eat pieces of the shoe and Saul told me I was not allowed to.
Give him an out, and that's what he's just going to keep rolling with that. He's going to put it on me.
Derek Montilla is a proud man of his word. When he makes a promise, he stands by it. Espo, on the other hand, he's always looking for a loophole or somebody else to blame.
Give him an out, and that's what he's just going to keep rolling with that. He's going to put it on me.
Espo, he's not just radical, he's dangerous.
Ethical Standards and PHNX Officials is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Really makes you think. Really makes you think. I remember one time I committed to dyeing my hair purple, and as you guys may or may not remember, I fulfilled my end of the bargain. I don't know why you would suggest that you're going to eat a shoe and then not eat it if that thing happens. But I mean, again, false promises. This is the same man that told our entire office today that he was going to buy them all lunch every Monday. Jesse, come on. This is like
he did say that, Jesse. I mean, it's kind of swinging your vote, isn't it, Jesse?
It's insane. He's not going to do it. It's an empty promise. This is like when the kid running for president of the student council tells you he's going to put chocolate milk in the water fountain. He can say it, Jesse. He doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Are you doing voiceover for your own political ads?
That's not me.
What I'm hearing there?
That is not me. That is absolutely not me.
It sounds kind of like you, but not like all.
That is
like
not.
you.
I can completely 100% verify that voice you're hearing is not me at all. Not actually me. Just saying. Speaking of fulfilling your debts, as conflicted as I am about this, Jesse, My good friend Tim, who used to write for ESPN and cover combat sports, he now works in Vegas covering poker. He contacted me through Twitter and made the absurd promise that if the Mets won this series, he was going to dye his hair blue like I dyed my hair purple. And despite the fact that I'm upset about this series loss, I can't help but at least smile a little bit that my friend has to dye his hair blue.
That does seem like a nice silver lining for you, Derek.
It is. It's like hedging your bets emotionally a little bit there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was there were a lot of Mets fans here, Derek. I will say that. I believe the attendance was 18,000 for this game. And honestly, not a great showing here at Chase Field over the last few days. There just weren't very many people. I think yesterday it was low 20s. I want to say similar story on Tuesday. Not necessarily what you're looking for a team that is almost 20 games over 500 and in very good position to make the playoffs with like a month left in the season. So, I mean, I think D-backs fans, by and large, they've showed up more this season. The attendance numbers are certainly up. But after winning 6 games in a row on the road trip, you figured it might be a little better than that coming back home.
And I mean, you expect that in May and June sometimes when the newness of the season kind of wears off, especially if a team is struggling the way this team did early on. But yeah, like you said, man, we're getting down to it. There's not a lot of series left at home. There's not a lot of home stands left. And I know everybody's going to come out for the series with the Dodgers, so maybe that impacts it. You know what I mean? Like we, the normal people of Arizona, sometimes can't be like, I'm going to go to every game over the course of a week that's at Chase Field. Jesse, he's a different animal. I know I have friends that have like the, that pass that they bought early on in the season where they can go to a game. Like they've been fully utilizing that and going to lots of games, but it's hard to come out, especially if you have plans to come out for a big series like that Dodgers series. But this was an equally big series for the Diamondbacks. It really was. And that's why this kind of sucks that they lost it. They let the Mets make up some ground. Luckily, they have enough of a cushion where it doesn't make it a substantial, loss where you really feel like they're breathing down your neck. Plus, you also have the fact that the Padres also lost to the St. Louis Cardinals today. That kind of eases the pain of this situation. But the Dodgers aren't going to stop winning, and the division is only going to slowly get a little bit further and further away. Not to mention that it's going to be a very tough series against that blue crew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily say the division is only going to get further away. I mean, I think it depends on what happens this weekend, right? On paper, like, do you love the Diamondbacks' chances when it looks like Walker and Marte are both going to be out for likely the entire series, at least most of the series, or at least half of the series, I guess. And you also are certainly not expecting Gabriel Moreno back anytime soon. So on paper, the Dodgers are maybe a little bit better positioned. I know Freddie Freeman has been a bit banged up. They've kind of backed off him recently. It'll be interesting to see if Freeman plays at all this weekend. But even without him, I mean, you've still got Mookie Betts now back with the Dodgers. Of course, Shohei Ohtani is doing his thing and seems to have a very realistic shot at 50 homers and 50 stolen bases, which of course would be a pretty impressive accomplishment. So it's going to be tough. This is a healthier Dodgers team than what the D-backs have seen recently, even though the Dodgers, of course, are still facing some injuries of their own.
Well, what do we have from Torey here post game, Jesse? You've got something on the on the base running mistakes they made?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start there. This is Torey Lovullo talking about, of course, there were 3 base running mistakes, at least by my count. There were 2 pickoffs. One was Randall Grichuk that happened in the first inning. Then there was Jake McCarthy that happened in the 4th inning. And then Jock Peterson, a sort of odd caught stealing in the 8th where he was out by a mile. Torey was asked about all 3 of those after the game, and here's what he had to say.
We highlighted his move, his step-off move in particular. He doesn't like to throw to the bases with the traditional pickoff. It's always a step-off. We talked about it. Video was seen by these players. We just got clipped. We got clipped a couple times by a good move. And that happens in this game. We give him an inning's worth of outs on the bases. We traditionally don't do that, but it happened, and it could have been the difference in the game. We got to make some adjustments.
Yeah, then what happened on that, Jock?
Yeah, that's just a baseball play. I felt very good about Gurriel putting the ball in play 3-1. I didn't think it was going to be a slider. I thought he just bounced the slider that was paddled by the catcher, so I was thinking fastball. And Gurriel likes to swing in those situations. I just wanted to create some action. This is a team that we identified that we wanted them to play fast. We just never really got into that rhythm. But it was a 3-1 slider out of nowhere. It wasn't predictable. He took it, and it equaled an out. I was just trying to make a baseball play and a baseball decision that didn't work.
Well, and I mean, again, this was a close one. It's not like the Diamondbacks really had like a lot of room to make mistakes, right? And I mean, those things ended up costing them some pretty big base runners in those moments. And I said it earlier, but it felt like it just kind of killed their momentum a little bit when things started. It felt like when those guys were on was when action normally starts for this team. You had a guy in the first, you had a guy in the fourth, you had a guy in the eighth, right? Like those are times where all of a sudden the Diamondbacks get something cooking there. And I felt like those guys getting picked off just kind of let the air out of the offense's balloon.
Yeah, and I think it was also the double plays in this game. You know, Josh Bell singles to start the second inning, and Jake McCarthy very quickly grounded into, I think it was the first pitch he saw, grounded into a double play. Suddenly you've got bases empty, 2 outs. And then in the seventh inning, I think that was also a hinge point in the game. You've got Corbin Carroll up at the plate with a runner at first base and 1 out. Corbin hits a soft ground ball to the second baseman. The Mets wind up throwing it away. It puts runners at the corners with 1 out. You feel like you're in really good position to take the lead there. And then Kevin Newman grounds into an inning-ending double play. So just a couple of crushing moments there. And yeah, I mean, you know, with the base running mistakes, like who knows if the Diamondbacks actually wind up scoring in the first inning or the fourth inning, if Grishik and McCarthy are able to avoid those. But at the very least, you're forcing David Peterson to throw a few more pitches. And the fact that the Diamondbacks, they just were not making him work. I know they made him throw 22 pitches in the third inning. Seemed like they were maybe starting to get to him a little bit. And then it was 10 pitches in the fourth, 11 pitches in the fifth, 10 pitches in the sixth. He was just cruising from that point forward. And if you're able to eliminate those base running mistakes, maybe you allow yourself to see some more pitches, and maybe you don't have Peterson pitching all the way through the seventh inning.
Yeah, he went seven innings, 2 earned runs allowed. Definitely dominated the Diamondbacks today. But they did keep it, you know, close. And, of course, that big play there where Geraldo made that mistake late. We talked about it. Jerry just had a tough series, man. Tough series defensively.
Yeah, he really did. Tuesday, there were several miscues that just seemed sort of out of character. He seemed like he was kind of a step slow going to his right. And then, of course, today it was a play moving to his left. Not an easy play necessarily, but a play that I feel like we're used to seeing Perdomo make. Iglesias hits a ground ball up the middle with a runner at third and 2 outs. And, of course, it winds up, it did hit Perdomo's glove, but he wasn't able to make the play, and that winds up being the difference in the game. We did talk with Perdomo after this one about that play, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I think that was on me too. I didn't throw my inties, and my intie told me to move a little bit to the left side, and I didn't. I don't know why, and you know that's a easy ground ball I used to make before. So I feel like for me, defense hitting this year was completely a disaster for me, and I think I just need to move on and be ready for the next series.
So you felt like before the pitch you should have you were thinking
yeah, right before the pitch, you know. Everybody know like just to throw 100, 102, and I don't think like guy like Iglesias are gonna like pull the ball like hard sinker. And right before those 2 pitches, like something told me like move to the left side, and I don't know why I didn't, but that's why I told a couple of my team like that wasn't me, saying like a couple of days ago too it happened, and I didn't trust my instinct right there, and yeah, like I just need to move on.
I don't like to see Jerry P sad. That makes me like I can tell he's sad there, and it's like I'm not used to seeing kind of a toned down Geraldo Perdomo.
But he's such a leader.
He really is. He takes that responsibility, right? He has no problem admitting that that it was a disaster for him.
Jesse, I'd like to have you know I was the first one on the show to bring up Perdomo's mistake and say that he needs to make that play. If you want to win the game, your shortstop needs to make that play.
Damon's growing as a person. It's amazing, right before our very eyes.
It is nice to hear him go in and be like, hey, I told my team I'm sorry and that's on me and that I got to be better. Because that's exactly right. He does have to be better than that.
And he's the leader out there on the field, right? I mean, he's the field manager, as Torey's called him.
Yeah, and you can understand what Perdomo is talking about there. He's basically saying that he should have trusted his instincts with a guy on the mound who's throwing 100 miles an hour. Of course, Perdomo knows what's coming there. He knows that Martinez is throwing a sinker, and a guy like Jose Iglesias is not someone you really expect to be pulling a ball that's coming in that hard. So he was feeling like he should maybe move more up the middle before the pitch even came, which would have put him in a better spot to make that play. And he just, for whatever reason, as you heard him describe there, he just didn't follow his instincts. And I guess it winds up costing him. And yeah, this was a rough series for Perdomo. Not great at the plate. I know he did draw a key walk late yesterday that helped set the table for Corbin to do what he did. But overall, the at-bats for Perdomo have been a little rough lately. It kind of feels like either he's able to draw a walk or it's some sort of weak contact, which is certainly something that we've seen at times with him in the past. So it's a lot of pressure, Derek. I mean, putting Perdomo at the top of the lineup pretty consistently, especially against lefties, which, historically Perdomo has been better against right-handed pitching. So this is a tall ask for him. And defensively, he has been a little bit not quite himself. Coming into today, he was at -1 outs above average at shortstop. Last year, I believe he was a +4 at the end of the season. So his range has not quite been what we're used to it being.
Well, our Mets fan friend, Yoshi, he suggested not pitching to Lindor. We have more from Ryne Nelson here talking about that exact at bat. Here's what Nelly had to say.
Yeah, really tough at bat. I think there was some pitches where I didn't quite hit my spot, and I think that we could have been out of that a little quicker and eventually not end up giving the homer. So, I think like in that spot right there, it's just about execution, and I didn't execute good enough.
Was there one pitch there that you felt like you had him set up if you had made the right pitch?
Yeah, we were trying to go like fastball down and away a couple times, maybe to freeze him after a changeup, and end up yanking it across the plate in. So I think that those spots right there, they can be a big turning point in the at bat,
especially against a hitter as good as Lindor.
Yeah, Lindor is so good, and he has been an absolute thorn in the Diamondback side this season. In the series earlier this year in New York between the D-backs and the Mets, Lindor went 7 for 15. I know he was 2 for 5 with a homer in that Tuesday game. And then today, he obviously had a big home run as well. I don't remember off the top of my head what he did yesterday. But yeah, Lindor, I actually looked this up before today's game. Francisco Lindor has hit the Diamondbacks better than any team in throughout his career. He came into today with a 366 career batting average against the Diamondbacks and a 371 career batting average here at Chase Field. So I don't know if he just loves hitting here or whatever it is, but he has been an absolute thorn for the Diamondbacks, not only this season, but in years past as well.
Well, the Diamondbacks, again, I think Ina said it earlier, this one's not one that you can easily just flush, but they do still have a lead. They still do have a playoff spot, and they move on, and they face another very tough team here in the Dodgers for a 4-game series at Chase Field. But things in Major League Baseball got a little crazy today with MLB's waiver madness being unleashed upon all of us, Jesse. There's some quality players that have been placed on waivers, including, of course, somebody I have my eye on, Tommy Pham.
Yeah, it might not be quite as mad as we saw last year when the Angels just like put their entire team on waivers all at once.
Yeah.
I believe Randall Grichuk was one of those guys, if I'm not mistaken. The Angels acquired Grichuk at the deadline from the Rockies, and then they put him on waivers shortly thereafter. So yeah, the crop of players this season, there's not any huge names. You wouldn't necessarily expect any huge names, but the idea here for people who don't know is that these players are basically just available to be claimed by anyone. The timing here is very intentional. This leaves enough time. All these teams that have put these guys on waivers, they left enough time so that players could still be postseason eligible once they join their new team. And all you're really doing if you're a claiming team is you're just taking on that player's contract, whatever it may be. So you can't just look at the player's stats or, how attractive they might be. You also have to consider what the contract situation is going forward. You're assuming all of that if you take on a player, which probably means that some of these guys who are on waivers are not going to be claimed at all. Teams are just going to be like, yeah, maybe we would like to add that player to our team, but we don't necessarily want to be paying them, 2 more years of arbitration or whatever it is. But there are a few names here that stand out to me as players that could be attractive for postseason contenders. One of them is Tommy Pham, of course, who you just mentioned. Pham has not had a great season. He was acquired by the Cardinals at the trade deadline and has not hit much. He has a 698. He has a 698 OPS on the season. But yeah, you want him to be teammates with Jock Peterson or the vibes? What are we thinking here?
Grow up. What? No, I wanted him for his veteran leadership. That's what I wanted him for. It had nothing to do with fantasy football at all. It's not like I'm in total fantasy football mode. I don't know if you know this, but I won our fantasy football league last year. I don't ever talk about it on the show because of, the humility factor there, obviously. But so yeah, fantasy football's on my mind a lot. No, I mean, I do mean that. I do mean from a perspective of like Tommy Pham did something special when he was around this team last year. And it wasn't entirely what he did on the field. It felt like he did give this team kind of a toughness about them, an edge that they needed at the right time. And, kind of going into the playoffs like they did, it felt like the team's, attitude reflected his a little bit, right? Which we know Tommy Pham is himself all the time. So we know a bit more about Tommy Pham, but we also know that Torey Lovullo has a little bit of an edge to him too, that he likes to, manage using. And that's a side that most of us as media or fans don't really get to see, but we know it's there because Torey's an incredibly tough person. But Taylor Rogers, Jesse, Giants reliever, a couple of relievers here that have some pretty good ERAs that might be a little tempting to kick the tires on if given the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think in addition to Tommy Pham, who, the narrative, obviously that would be a lot of fun given what he meant to the team down the stretch last season. Right. I don't really think the D-backs need another outfielder right now, frankly. So I would be quite surprised if they made a run at Tommy Pham. But yeah, from a reliever standpoint, there's a couple of guys that stand out there. Taylor Rogers, who you just mentioned, he has a 2.45 ERA for the San Francisco Giants this year, has genuinely been very, very good and would be an asset for, I think, any postseason team. The Diamondbacks last year put in a claim on a similar pitcher in Matt Moore, another left-handed reliever who is having a pretty solid year. But the catch here, Derek, is that the claiming process, it goes in reverse order of standings. Right. So last year, the Diamondbacks put in claims on 4 players, and they went 0 for 4 because their record was too good. And this year, that's going to be even more of an issue because their record is much better than what it was a year ago. The only way for them to get someone like Taylor Rogers is for them to put in a claim and for no other team in the league that has a worse record than them to also put in a claim, because if they did, that team would beat them. So Rogers is in kind of an interesting contract situation because I believe he's under contract for next season as well for $12 million, which is maybe a little bit more than some teams would want to pay for a left-handed reliever. You would be assuming that if you claimed him. And the other guy I'll mention here real quick, another left-handed reliever, is Drew Smyly of the Chicago Cubs, who's also had a very good season. Smyly has an ERA of 2.91, another guy who could be an asset for a playoff team. He is not under contract firmly for next year. He just has a mutual option for next season that I imagine he will reject his side of that and become a free agent. There's a $2.5 million buyout on that mutual option, in addition to around $2 million or so that he'd be owed the rest of the year. So if you do claim Drew Smyly, you're paying about $4 or $5 million guaranteed for, about a month plus the playoffs. So I imagine some teams might be hesitant for that reason.
Well, of course, the Diamondbacks don't have time to kind of soak this one in too long. They got to get over it and deal with the Dodgers coming into town tomorrow. So we will have more on that. We'll have a post-game show tomorrow. Jesse will be joining us from the ballpark. But, of course, before we get out of here, we have to let everybody know once again a few things. I won the Fantasy Football League, and tonight's my ring ceremony. Of course, very humble.
Oh, is that part of tonight?
That is part of the it's part of the festival. Well, the draft, it's like the All-Star game. That's the actual event, and then like the draft for our league is just an ancillary event that's also there.
I don't even know that it was planned that the ring ceremony happened. I think Derek's just forcing that into the itinerary here, Jesse.
I don't know. I know that's happening, and I know that's the main event. But of course, Jesse, Damon's lying. I'm not. I always tell the truth. We know the numbers. They also always tell the truth. What do you have for tonight's number that doesn't lie?
Yeah, today is just 3-9. This is the Diamondbacks record against the Mets at home going back to 2021. They obviously lose 2 out of 3 this season. They got swept at home last season. They lost 2 out of 3 at home each of the 2 seasons before that. So I don't know what it is, Derek, about the New York Mets in this ballpark. I guess I mentioned Francisco Lindor and how he seems to just utterly rake here. But yeah, the D-backs have really struggled to beat the Mets at home for whatever reason over the last few years. And obviously the Mets got them once again here in this 3-game series. Just the second Diamondback series loss going back to 2 months ago, right? It's just this series. And then, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays series where they got swept a little over a week ago. So do with that what you will.
It's gross. It's all gross, but they'll shake it off. And Diamondbacks, they have a quite a whole month of baseball still to play in order for them to make the playoffs. And of course, nothing is promised at this point. So they got to keep on the roll that they've been on prior to this. But damn those Mets. Anyway, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse and Friedman. Of course, our producer, the people's producer, Damon, is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's dogs. Bark, bark.
You know, that happens to be the name of my fantasy football team. So Derek just admitted he's rooting for me.
I mean, I won my championship. I'll root for you. I'm a good friend.
If you're willing to sort of give me a helping hand as we're going through the draft process tonight, Damon, that would be much appreciated. So I am one of Damon's dogs.
It's
in that
crazy.
sense.
Jesse,
this man comes crawling back on his hands and knees to us and my administration after turning on us and going with Team Espo. And now he wants the vice mayorship back. Now he wants you to help him with his fantasy football team. This is insane, Jesse. You need to learn your lesson, I think, here.
Jesse, I'll have my people reach out to your people.
That's crazy. I don't like. There's a lot of collusion going on, and I don't appreciate it. But of course, we hope to see some of you guys out there tonight for our fun little draft party we're going to have at Wild Horse Pass. So make sure to join us for that and the events we're having there all season long. Of course, make sure to follow our account at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to @PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Look, I know it's a loss. We're not happy, but hit that like button before you get out of here. It'll make you feel better about us and yourself and this team. So hit that like button. And of course, make sure to come back here tomorrow for another post-game show. We will be here covering that game 1 of the Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers. Until then, we hope you guys have a wonderful night. We hope you guys enjoy yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't continue to lose at home to the Mets.
We all silly like the mayor.